Hey everybody, I'm Adam. We just launched StateBacked, our XState backend as a service. And today I wanted to show you an example of using StateBacked to build an email automation flow. So normally this is kind of a difficult thing to build. There's lots of state, lots of different actions that we need to make sure that we handle, long running timers. So let's take a look at what it would be like to build something like that using StateBacked, using the Stately AI XState editor, and using resend to send emails. So you can jump over to our GitHub and download the example and check it out. First, let's take a look at the Stately editor. So here, we've created a state machine that has really two parallel states. The first of those is our user state. So this is going to track the state of a user in this kind of fictitious app that we're using for our example. So in this app, let's imagine that users have documents and they have organizations. So you can create a document. Once you create a document, you can share that document or you can publish it. And on the organization side, you can create an organization. Then you can invite members to that organization, and those members can accept your invitation. And then you can also obviously upgrade your plan. So this is really tracking everything that we need to remember about what state the user's in. So you can imagine if we were going to integrate this into a real app, our app would just be sending events up to our StateBacked state machine instance whenever these things happen. And then the second kind of top level state that we're looking at is actually handling these long running timers to send events over the course of 2 weeks, to send emails over the course of 2 weeks. So you can see right after a user signs up, we're going to send them a welcome email. Then we're going to wait a day and send them email 1. Then wait another day, send them email 2. After 2 days, send email 3, and so forth. And each one of these emails is going to be based on the state that the user's in that we figured out up here. So now let's look at what this would actually look like if we want to launch this or create this state machine using StateBacked. So here I have the repository, our examples repository checked out. And let's take a look at the main file that we have. So there's really just 3 things that you need to export in a StateBacked state machine. You've got your permissioning. So you export an allow read and an allow write function. And here we're basically saying for any given event, are we going to allow that event to be processed? So on the right side, we get an authorization context that tells us what user is trying to create this event. And then we get some information about the machine instance that we're running, and the context of that machine, the event, and so forth. The only other thing that we export is the actual state machine that we want to run. So now that we've seen what our machine looks like, let's look at actually deploying instances of this machine into the StateBacked cloud. So first, we're just going to publish a new version of the machine. And this is basically just packaging up that index file that we just saw and sending it up to the StateBacked cloud. Cool, so we have a new version and a new migration. We'll talk about migrations another time, but they're super cool. So now we can create an instance of that machine. So instances of machines have a name. In this case, we're going to name our machine after our user. And in order to create any instance or send any events, we need some authorization context. So normally this would be supplied by a JWT coming from your app. But here on the command line, we can just supply the claims that we would make. And then we're going to supply some initial context. So in this case, my email address. So we're going to go ahead and run that. And now we have a persistent, durable, consistent instance of our machine running in the StateBacked cloud. And you can see we got back the state of that machine. So our app can now make decisions based on the state. And over here, you'll notice we got that welcome email that we defined in our state machine. So we created a state machine, we created an instance of a state machine on the StateBacked cloud. That instance is executing exactly what we saw in the Stately visualizer. And then we used resend to actually send that email. So now we can go ahead and send events to our machine. So we're going to send a created document event. And now you can see that modified the state so that now the user state shows that we have some document activity. We can send some additional events. For example, a organization created event. And now we can see we have some organization activity and document activity. I should mention, I made some updates to our timers so that instead of waiting a day, we're only going to actually wait a minute. So you can see we just got that next email in the series, and it's based on the events that we've already sent. So we're capturing all of that user state and sending out emails that are contextually relevant. We'll send one more event here to show that we now invited a user. And you can see that our machine state now shows that in the organization status, invitation status is invited. So now the next email is going to reflect that new state. The really cool thing about email, or difficult thing about email automation, is it combines this very workflow-oriented aspect of, you want to wait a day, wait 2 days, wait 3 days, where the machine is driving itself, with a very reactive event-oriented aspect where, you want to make sure that you capture every event that's happening and update your state accordingly. So now we can see we got another email in our series. So that's a quick overview of this example. Please reach out with any questions and try the example out for yourself on our GitHub. And please check out the StateBacked docs at docs.statebacked.dev. Thanks a lot.